I'm Ace Ramirez coming to you from Washington. It's October 21, 2020. Tonight we have updates from several of our correspondents across North America. Thomas Likeness in Edmonton, Alberta.
Social gatherings in Alberta go viral.
Mila Simbulan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
Resurgence happening now in Pennsylvania, and Governor Wolf asking Pennsylvanians to unite against this pandemic.
May Ann Manzano-Guerzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
New Jersey announces additional $14 million funding for workforce development programs.
Randy Bayuga in Parisburg, Ohio.
COVID-19 cases surge again in Ohio.
Marites Herrera in Granada Hills, California.
LA Dodgers defeat the Tampa Bay Rays in Game 1 of the World Series.
Elmarie Gonzalez in South Haven reports about Mississippi hospitals to maintain 10% capacity for elective procedures. Las Vegas Bureau Chief Anna Cui reports about Nevada showing a major shift toward mail-in ballots during early voting. Plus, for business news, Bobby Soriano in New York reports about OxyContin maker Purdue pleading guilty to federal criminal charges, Amazon to extend work from home option till mid-2021, and Tesla beats earnings expectations. And the virtual roundtable discussion with our Eagle News America team about what flavor of ice cream do we wish existed. Our coverage begins now. First, an overview of how COVID-19 looks now. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday, October 21, 2020, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 41,053,000. Top three on the list of countries with recorded cases are U.S. with 8.3 million, India with 7.6 million, Brazil 5.2 million. Sadly, more than 1,100,000 lives worldwide have succumbed to the virus. Top three countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths are U.S. still at first, more than 221,000, Brazil close to 154,000, India more than 115,000. Carissa Etienne, director of the Pan American Health Organization, or PAHO, warns during a virtual press conference that misinformation threatens the response to COVID-19 in the American continent, in particular with regard to a vaccine against the virus. Let's take a look.
Insidious rumors and conspiracy theories can disrupt vaccination efforts and imperil our COVID-19 response, costing lives. How we communicate about COVID-19 vaccines will make or break our ability to control the pandemic. While the world urgently awaits a breakthrough, it is important to highlight that PAHO will only support the distribution of a vaccine that has proven to be safe and effective in clinical trials, reviewed by national regulatory authorities, and recommended by the World Health Organizations. While the global community is concerned with the nature of this pandemic, the regulatory approval process will be just as thorough as the process taken for any other vaccine.
The U.S. Senate will vote on Monday, 8 days ahead of the presidential election, to confirm Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court, the Senate Majority Leader said Tuesday. Republican Senator Mitch McConnell said at a press conference, "We'll be voting to confirm Justice to be Barrett next Monday. I think that will be another signature accomplishment in our effort to put on the courts, the federal courts, men and women who believe in the quaint notion that maybe the job of a judge is to actually follow the law." 48-year-old Barrett was named by President Donald Trump to replace the late liberal icon Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the nation's highest court. Her confirmation by the Senate to the lifetime post would give conservatives a 6-3 majority on the 9-member panel. Democratic senators urged their Republican colleagues to honor a pledge of 4 years ago not to seat a justice close to a presidential election. But the appeal failed, and Republicans forged ahead with a plan to put Barrett on the court. Republicans have a 53-47 majority in the Senate, and although 2 Republican senators have said they will not vote, Barrett is virtually assured of confirmation. Meanwhile, in 2016, U.S. President Donald Trump comfortably won by 9.4 points in Iowa. But Iowa now joins the list of states where Trump is losing his lead. Several polls now show Trump neck and neck with opponent and former Vice President Joe Biden since September. Let's take a look.
The state is changing, and I do think, too, that we've had a chance to see 4 years of Trump in action, and his record is not good if you're paying attention. It's not good at all.
I feel President Trump has done a good job with pretty much everything, the economy. I guess there's a little question around the coronavirus, but I don't think Biden would have done anything different. In fact, I think he would have done a lot worse.
I think a lot of it has to do with economics. You go back to, we were a blue-collar UAW county. I myself worked at Maytag in the early 2000s. It closed. The jobs went to Mexico. And I think as people, the savings are gone, they're doing jobs, they can't get the money they made there, they don't have the benefits.
Social gatherings in Alberta get crashed by the same uninvited visitor. In Edmonton, Bureau Chief Thomas Likeness tells us who it is. Tom?
Thank you, Ace. COVID-19, the ultimate gate crasher. Now, this little guy's been busy in Alberta as several coronavirus outbreaks have been reported in the last few days. A record number of new cases of COVID reported today, 406. A record number of active cases in the province, the highest number since the pandemic began. That's right now, 3,372 people infected, and more than half of them in my city. I live in the city of Edmonton. Most, they're related to social gatherings. Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Dina Hinshaw, reminds people that COVID-19 loves a party, and these outbreaks certainly underscore that.
I think that common element is that they were social gatherings where people were thinking they were following guidance, but again, perhaps, we like to think of all of the precautions that we have in place, screening for symptoms, washing hands, making sure that we're staying distance as much as possible, wearing masks as layers of protection that all need to be used together. And I think if you take out 1 or 2 of those layers, so perhaps people were trying to stay distanced, but perhaps there wasn't hand sanitizer there. Perhaps they, some were wearing masks, but not all, and some of that distancing maybe wasn't possible.
Here's an example. Last couple of weeks, a wedding in Calgary. 63 guests. Shortly after the couple took their vows, the reception is over. The event resulted in 49 people. 49 out of the 63 testing positive for COVID. And this isn't an isolated event. There have been other outbreaks at other events. Things like weddings, funerals, parties, gatherings of all sorts. The number of cases keeps growing. How bad, doctor, is the situation?
Right now, we're in a danger zone where the coming weeks will really tell that story about whether we are able collectively to bend that curve downwards by following all of that guidance that's already out there, that's up online, or if we start to tip the wrong way and start to see our hospitals fill up and impair our ability to do elective surgeries, impair our ability to offer services that our healthcare system needs to be able to offer to others that are not COVID related. So we're not yet, again, at that point where our system is not able to cope, but we are getting closer.
So there you have it. We're getting closer to that danger zone. And what's happening in Alberta? It's a reflection of what's happening in many parts of the world. You know, our neighbors in the U.S., they have increases. Europe, the United Kingdom, all experiencing dramatic increases. Call it what it is, a second wave. So vigilance, people, vigilance. And while we stand guard trying to hold off this viral enemy, I wish you all good health. Remember to take care of others, take care of yourselves. Stay home, stay safe, and stay tuned to Eagle News for accurate and balanced coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic and other current affairs. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Tom, before we let you go, is Alberta close to bringing in new restrictions?
Well, that's going to depend on a lot of things. A number of voluntary measures have been instituted. Now, if the hospitalization use goes up for the intensive care beds that they've set aside for COVID, if it reaches 50%, then definitely mandatory measures will be brought in. Now, to put that into perspective, the province has earmarked 70 ICU beds for COVID patients. So far, 16 are being used. If that creeps up to in the 30s, 35, yeah, there's going to be more restrictive measures. Some doctors here are saying things like nightclubs, bars, gyms, and theaters should be closed right now. And maybe even dining in should be restricted.
But are the people really following these measures?
Well, generally they are. Now, I've heard anecdotal reports of some people in the workplace declining to wear masks. And of course, at social gatherings, and you heard the doctor say it, people think they're taking all the precautions. We've got a limited cohort group, but maybe they forget the hand sanitizer. You're talking to somebody and you're not wearing a mask, but you're close. So yeah, that does happen. But as far as the general restrictions, people seem to be complying. As far as retail outlets, stores, and so on, the places I've been, compliance is nearly 100%. You don't find people arguing at the front of Walmart. You know, I got a medical condition. I can't wear this mask. I don't need a mask. I'm healthy. You don't find that.
That's good to know. Responsibilities for yourself and for the other, to protect the others as well. Let's talk about the weather there in Canada. It's getting colder. How would this affect the people?
Well, I think this, more than anything, is going to have a negative effect on people's mental health. Over the summer, we were able to gather outdoors so you could socialize. The risk of spreading outdoors is very small. Now, in our climate, this time of year, you start spending more and more time indoors. It was about -9 this morning when we went to work. So it's not the kind of weather you want to hang around outside. We socialize indoors throughout the winter, and that's just not going to happen this year. For some people, the effect of that isolation, the loneliness they feel can lead to depression. And, you know, already surveys indicate people, especially in the younger demographics, younger people are feeling that their mental health is in a much poorer state than it was 6 months ago. Seniors, for some reason, don't seem to be as affected as much. December, of course, is going to be the critical time because of the holiday season there. And, you know, whether people follow the guidelines will determine how much the virus will spread at that time. Bottom line is we're still a long ways from having an effective treatment, and we're still a long ways from getting a vaccine out there and getting it distributed to people.
That's true. Good points there, Tom. Thank you so much, Thomas Likeness in Alberta, Canada.
Stay safe, Ace.
You too. When we come back, updates from our Eagle News correspondents in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, and Sicklerville, New Jersey. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
It says the best defense is still containment.
We are in uncharted territory.
Silent volume 450. The 512 100%. Standing by. Suctioning.
Isang weekly winner na lang ang hinihintay po natin upang mabuo ang line-up sa monthly finals.
Feel na feel mo yung kanta, no? Parang wow.
Pinakita mo sa amin na you are really a singer.
Bagay na bagay sa inyo yung kinanta nyo.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington, D.C. As anticipated and feared, the COVID-19 resurgence is now happening in the state of Pennsylvania, and Governor Tom Wolf pleads with everyone to unite against it. In Swarthmore, Bureau Chief Myla Simbulan reports.
Thanks, Ace. Here in the East Coast, this time of the year, we see falling leaves, changing of colors of trees to yellowish brown, a chilly weather in the morning and at night. During this pandemic world, we now have what we call fall resurgence. Then what is fall resurgence? According to Merriam-Webster.com, resurgence means a rising against into life, activity, or prominence. So when you use this term during COVID time, fall resurgence is when the number of positive COVID infection rise in the fall season. Last week, we reported how Pennsylvanians prepare for fall resurgence. This week, it's official. Fall resurgence is here. Here is Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf to tell us more. Take a look.
And we're starting to see the average case counts creeping up. The colder weather and a whole bunch of factors have probably produced this, but whatever the reason, this upsurge, there's evidence that it's starting. And so the fall resurgence is here, and while we always have to take this deadly virus seriously, now is really the time to double down on our efforts to keep ourselves and the people around us safe. So this is a plea to do just that, to keep us safe. We've seen what happens when people don't wear masks. That's a problem. We've seen what happens when folks don't practice social distancing. I mean, people just get sick. That's what happens. I don't like it. It's frustrating. You don't like it, but that's what happens. So
there is a team of public health experts leading the work to make sure all Pennsylvanians are as protected as possible from both COVID-19 and influenza. The team is prepared for the resurgence. It's managing a robust testing plan, preparing for vaccine distribution when a vaccine is available, and working to track influenza or flu cases across the state. The team is also doing case investigations at the onset of symptoms of COVID-19. Here's Department of Health Secretary Dr. Rachel Levine to tell us more. Take a look.
Another data point that we are closely monitoring is the number of people who have reported going to a business or a large gathering 14 days prior to the onset of symptoms. It is essential that when the Pennsylvania Department of Health or the county municipal health departments call for these case investigations, that people provide this information to us as part of that case investigation process. We need that information to continue to improve our public health response and protect Pennsylvanians. It helps us because we know where they are at risk. For the week of October 4th through the 10th, 67% of people actually did not answer questions as to whether they frequented a business or attended a mass gathering. I can't stress enough how critical it is for them to give us that information and participate fully in the case investigation process and the contact tracing process. Those are the linchpins of our containment strategy. Of those that did respond and answered yes to having visited a business establishment, 50% had reported going to a restaurant. 14% had reported going to a bar, 13% to a gym or fitness center, 8% to a salon or a barbershop, and 26% going to some other type of business establishment. All that is on our data dashboard.
Dr. Levine also presented the latest data from the state's COVID-19 Early Warning Monitoring System dashboard, which tracks the level of community transmission as a basis for the recommendations for pre-K to 12 schools to determine instructional models, data on cases among 5 to 18-year-olds, cases that reported visiting a business among potential locations where exposures may have occurred, and updated travel recommendations. The dashboard is designed to provide early warning signs of factors that affect the state's mitigation efforts. The data available on the early warning monitoring dashboard includes week-over-week case differences, incidence rates, test percent positivity, and rates of hospitalizations, ventilations, and emergency room visits tied to COVID-19. I will end my report with these words from Governor Wolf. Take a look.
COVID is tough, no question about it, and it's frustrating. But together, Pennsylvanians are even tougher. And last 7.5 months have shown us that when we work together, we can do pretty amazing things. And we have.
In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Myla Simbulan, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Myla, what is the current count of COVID-19 infections in Pennsylvania, and what makes the state fall into resurgence?
So as of Thursday, or October 15, the state has seen a 7-day case increase of, let me just check the numbers, of about 8,700. The previous 7-day increase was about 7,300, indicating a 1,300 case increase across the state over the past week. And then the statewide percent positivity went up to 4.3% from 3.9% last week. Ace?
I see. That is pretty scary. Increase in the number of, increase in the percentage of the affected. Thank you so much, Myla Simbulan from Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
Thanks, Ace.
An additional $14 million in funding will be given for workforce development programs. In Sicklerville, May-Ann Manzano-Gorzon has the details.
Thank you, Ace. Today, Governor Phil Murphy and Congressman Donald Norcross announced $14 million in additional coronavirus aid relief and economic security, or CARES Act funding, to develop workforce development programs. The programs are designed to help businesses impacted by COVID-19 replenish their workforce and help jobless residents learn new skills that lead to successful reemployment. Take a look.
So today, alongside the congressman and these other outstanding leaders, I'm proud to announce that our administration will invest $14 million of our federal coronavirus relief funds in workforce development programs that will get people back to work to sustain our recovery now, while at the same time preparing our workforce for the post-COVID economy tomorrow. These dollars build on our long-term commitment to investing in our state's workforce, and they also leverage, and Rob knows this, and I credit him for working with Donald on this, an additional $8.4 million in competitive federal funding that was awarded to us to assist dislocated workers.
The CARES Act funding has been divided to a three-pronged plan to bolster worker skills and get them back on the job. The programs will be implemented by the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development. First, $4 million grant on relief employment. This funding will provide dislocated workers and the long-term unemployed the opportunity to perform temporary jobs related to the state's recovery from the pandemic. The first sector targeted for these jobs will be long-term care. Second, $3 million grant on customized and on-the-job training. This funding will cover up to 50% of training cost of a new employee if an employer commits to hiring an employee upon completion of the training. Essential and struggling industries such as retail, grocery, hospitality, tourism, healthcare, transportation, and logistics will be targeted. And lastly, $7 million grant on employment and training services. This funding will expand career support services supported by the workforce investment boards throughout the state. The services include outreach, intake, assessment screening, resume critics, virtual job referrals, and referrals from short-term training which can be provided remotely. Here is today's statistical report of New Jersey's COVID-19 cases. According to the Department of Health of New Jersey, we have 1,062 new positive cases, bringing a cumulative total to 223,223 New Jerseyans tested positive. Sadly, we have 18 new confirmed COVID-19 deaths, pushing the total to 14,456 lives lost. New Jersey remains on stage 2 of its road to recovery. And as for some weather update, it's currently 10:07 in the evening here in New Jersey, and it's mostly cloudy. It is 64 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 degrees Celsius. The high today was forecast as 78 degrees Fahrenheit or 26 degrees Celsius. In Sicklerville, New Jersey, May and Manzano Garzon, Eagle News, will live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Man, most of the time when the government funds a program, they expect something in return. What does the administration expect as results from this funding?
Right, Ace, I agree. Well, according to state officials during the announcement held today, this funding for workforce development will help workers and businesses that were affected by the pandemic to get back on their feet. And of course, Ace, also in general for the state, the New Jersey, to recover economically. Ace?
I see. Thank you so much, May Ann Manzano from Sicklerville.
Thank you, Ace.
When we come back, updates from our correspondents in Parisburg, Ohio, Granada Hills, California, Las Vegas, Nevada. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington, D.C.
Impormasyong mahalaga sa taong bayan. Patas na pagbabalita. Papakinggan ang magkabilang panig. Lilinawin ang mga issue at kaagad na ihahatid ng objektibo. Mata ng Agila. Tumadagit ng pinakasariwang pangyayari, hindi lamang sa loob ng bansa, kundi sa iba't ibang panig ng daigdig. Mula sa Eagle News teams at sa tulong ng makabagong teknolohiya, tiyak na makakalap kaagad ang katotohanan. Para sa mas matalas, malinaw at malalimang pagbabalita. Ito ang mas pinatalas na Mata ng Agila. Inihahatid ng veteranong broadcast journalist na si Eli Saludar. Kasama si Binibining Pilipinas Intercontinental 2019, Emma Tiglao. At pinangungunahan ng batikang mamamahayag ng bansa, Vic De Leon Lima. Mata ng Agila, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 6 hanggang alas 8 ng gabi, dito sa Net 25.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization, startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action.
Hi everyone! Net25 Kids is inviting you to EBC Webinars 2020, a series of educational and informative webinars for teachers and parents, which will be live streamed via Net25 Kids YouTube page. We will be featuring several guest speakers with years of experience to share information that would be valuable and helpful for teachers and parents as they educate and manage their children in these interesting times. Hope you will join us! For updates, schedules, and more information, please follow the Net25 Kids Facebook page.
Welcome back. This is Eagle News America. The number of positive coronavirus cases in Ohio hits a new high. In Parisburg, Eagle News correspondent Randy Bayuga has the details.
Thank you, Ace. Ohio set a new high of 2,366 reported cases of COVID-19 in a 24-hour period. It also beat last Saturday's stat of 2,234. The number of deaths and hospitalizations also rose. We saw the number of counties in public emergency level 3 go down to four counties, and the last 2 weeks we have seen it surge again to a new high of 31. The stark changes are affecting many older Ohioans, 60 years old and older. The governor had discussed other causes for the increase, such as the cold weather, where people are now spending more time indoors, and shockingly, the number of people not complying with the wearing of masks has also increased. Today, I saw children being led out of school by a teacher and walking together, not wearing a mask. And some people at their children's soccer games were also not wearing masks. It looks like many Ohioans have gotten comfortable enjoying how some things have gotten back to normal. Governor Mike DeWine is not entertaining any thoughts of having the state shut down again. And I quote, "I'm here to tell you we don't have to shut our economy down. We can do two things at once. We have to change how we do things, and we have to set what our priorities are. Keeping jobs, expanding jobs, and keeping kids at school. And if enough of us wear a mask, we can get this done." COVID-19 key indicators. As of yesterday, there are now 185,639 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Sadly, there are 5,083 deaths. Hospitalizations have increased to 17,388. ICU admissions at 3,597. Currently, Ohio's positivity rating is up to 5%, from its lows about 3% earlier this October. And now, early voting in Ohio. Secretary of State Frank LaRose tweeted today how millions of Ohioans are taking advantage of the safe and secure early voting options. Expect to see long lines at the voting centers, as Ohioans have more than doubled the number who have voted early and requested for ballot applications. To illustrate, total ballots cast in 2020 alone, and this is based on 2 weeks prior to Election Day, 1,115,711 in 2020. In 2016, 509,829. Ballots cast early in person in 2020, 440,480. In 2016, 165,515. Absentee ballots applications received in 2020, 2,745,403 versus in 2016, 1,412,718. From Perrysburg, Ohio, Ronnie Bayuga, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Ronnie, how do you intend to vote? Are you doing mail-in or in person?
I currently cannot vote myself because I am a Canadian citizen. But if I were to vote, I would go in person.
Okay, I'm gonna do mail-in. Better safe than sorry, you know. I have another question for you before you go. So, what makes Ohio a swing state or a battleground state?
So, Ohio is an interesting state where it actually, by definition of a swing state, is where two major political parties have similar levels of support among the voters. And so, in Ohio, to illustrate this. 538.com had a poll showing Biden leading 48% to Trump 47%. This is how close it is here in Ohio. And Ohio is an interesting state where it has a really great track record for electing the winning president. Since 1964, it only missed twice. Back in, let's see, Nixon in the 60s, and Thomas Dewey in 1944. Ohio also has a long standing from the Civil War. It's 33 out of 37 of the presidents elected. So Ohio is an interesting state where the parties really need to win to become president. The other state like this is Florida. So we had President Trump won this in 2016, the state of Ohio, and it was an interesting win altogether. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you so much, Rani. That says it all. 47 against 48, just a 1 point advantage, and 47 plus 48, that's 95. So where's the 5% that's missing?
Trump is very confident here. Trump is very confident here because he's not really spending money here to promote his election. So he's very comfortable.
I see. All right. Thank you so much, Randy Bayuga from Perrysburg, Ohio. It's an exciting time for sports. The LA Lakers have just won the NBA championship. And baseball is in the middle of its World Series with the LA Dodgers facing the Tampa Bay Rays. Joining us this evening is Eagle News correspondent Marites Herrera in Granada Hills with the results of Game 1. Marites.
Thank you, Ace. The 116th World Series has begun with Game 1 opener seeing the Los Angeles Dodgers defeat the Tampa Bay Rays 8-3. This best-of-7 contest takes place in the Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas, which is roughly the same distance away from both cities, give or take a few hundred miles. Some baseball fans fortunate enough to secure tickets had to travel hours to make it to the game, but they didn't seem to mind. Happy instead to finally be able to watch live play in person and to return to the familiar sights and sounds of a ballpark, including the appetizing aroma of a stadium food. Of course, adjustments were made due to the pandemic, such as limiting the number of attendees to 11,500 people spread out over the 40,000 seats of Globe Life Field. Hand sanitizing stations were plentiful, and the policy to wear face coverings was enforced. And we're guessing that beneath the masks of anyone rooting for Dodgers, smiles aplenty must have been on their faces as Los Angeles walloped Tampa Bay. It's been 32 years since the Dodgers won the World Series, all the way back in 1988. Interestingly, LA star pitcher Clayton Kershaw, who by the way is a Texas native, is also 32 years old. So in this sense, World Series title run may be the big moment that Kershaw was born for. In Granada Hills, California, Marites Herrera, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Marites, that's very interesting. I heard your husband is also a big Lakers fan, but is he a Dodgers fan?
Ace, my husband does not follow baseball that closely. He's a sporty guy, but it's the basketball that he follows. But just like the rest of our family, we support all the LA teams, whether that is hockey, football, soccer, baseball. We'll be right there with the fans cheering the home team. Ace?
There you go. LA fan, that is. The family is an LA fan. Thank you so much, Marites from Granada Hills, California. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves requires hospitals in the state to maintain 10% capacity for elective procedures. In South Haven, Eagle News correspondent Elmarie Gonzalez with the details.
Thank you, Ace, and hello from South Haven, Mississippi. On Tuesday, Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves signed an executive order requiring the hospitals to maintain 10% capacity to be permitted to do elective procedures. As COVID-19 increases in Mississippi, the state is applying a county-specific strategy wherein the 9 counties must meet the standards for additional measures, reducing social gatherings to 10 people indoors and 50 people outdoors, and must wear masks indoors when in public and social distancing is not possible. The said counties are DeSoto, Jackson, Lee, Forest, Lamar, Itawamba, Neshoba, Claiborne, and Chickasaw. The governor stated that none of these elements are silver bullets or instant solutions, and no one expects this strategy will totally eliminate the virus. Therefore, life will have to go on in the meantime as we wait for a vaccine. He stated our mission is the same as it is ever was, that is to prevent our healthcare system from being overwhelmed. Governor Tate Reeves also advised everyone to stay watchful and be careful, and said that we can get through this together. As of Tuesday, the new cases in Mississippi is 801, total of 99,919 confirmed cases, 12,204 probable, with 112,123 in total cases. 21 new deaths, total of 2,919 confirmed, 304 probable, with a total of 3,223 deaths. There are 127 current outbreaks in long-term care facilities only. There are 97,675 presumed recovered according to CDC. In other news, Governor Tate Reeves announced on Friday a massive new economic development project along the Mississippi Gulf Coast. USIC is developing a $1 billion resort to support 25,000 jobs in Phase 1. Governor Reeves stated that this resort will be a new jewel in Mississippi's crown and life-changing for so many families. They could have made this investment anywhere. We competed with the world, and they chose Mississippi. It's a testament to the unbeatable hospitality of our people and our dedication to growing our state. With hard work and the Mississippi's spirit on display, we can always win, Governor Reeves said. Meanwhile, Ace, hope you are staying safe over there in your part of the country. In South Haven, Mississippi, I am Elmarie Gonzalez, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Elmarie. We are now 10 days from the November 3 elections, and Nevada shows a major shift toward mail-in ballots during early voting. In Las Vegas, Bureau Chief Anna Cui reports.
Thank you, Ace. Only 4 days into the early voting period, and election officials report over 197,000 mail ballots have been returned by voters, more than twice as much compared to the total number of mail ballots in the entire 2016 general elections. As of yesterday, there were 280,979 total ballots cast, 70% of which are returned mail ballots. There was a total of less than 79,000 of such ballots in 2016. This major shift can be credited to Assembly Bill 4 that was passed by state lawmakers in early August this year, mandating election officials to automatically send mail-in ballots to all registered voters, even if they didn't request one. This ensures people who may be afraid to venture out to do in-person voting amid the pandemic to still have access to exercise their right to vote. Although Nevada law prohibits counting of ballots by any election officials until Election Day, Nevada's Secretary of State reports more than 133,000 Democrats, 86,000 Republicans, and 60,000 with other party affiliation have voted as of Tuesday. These numbers include mail-in ballots and in-person voting. As of Tuesday, about 103,000 Democrats cast their vote using the mail-in ballots compared to about 50,000 Republicans, while over 30,000 Republicans showed up for in-person voting compared to about 30,000 Democrats. Early voting continues until October 30 with 35 locations here in Clark County. You can easily search on your smartphone for the nearest voting site based on your residential address. On Election Day, November 3, 2020, over 100 vote centers will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. in Clark County, where you can either drop off your mail-in ballot or use a voting machine. I had a chance to talk to someone who has already voted, and here's what he said.
We were able to go vote. We were able to go locally here on Saturday on the first day. I know the mall was rather crowded, but we were in and out of our line in under an hour, and it was amazing. It was like really quick. Everybody was really nice. Everybody wore a mask. Everybody was really polite. They had people walking up that had filled out their mail ones that they mail in, and they just walked to the front of the line. They walked up, put it in the mailbox. It was very well run. Everything was well run. There was no people out there trying to intimidate you to do any of that. All the intimidation seemed to be coming from outside, before you go in there. But when you were actually there, it's like, no, we're Americans and we vote.
In Las Vegas, Anna Cui, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thanks, Anna. Up next, business news with Bobby Soriano. And what flavor of ice cream do you wish existed? We will answer that in our virtual roundtable when Eagle News America returns. Stay with us.
Ako po si Marcelito Pomoy, ang bago niyong makakasama sa Tagisan ng Galing Part 2. Kita-kits po tayo sa pinakabago at pinakamalaking talent competition on TV and online. Tagisan ng Galing Part 2, dito lang sa Net 25. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye! Bye-bye! Gustong-gusto ko yung fake news. Bakit di nila makukuha yung tamang sagot?
Bawal ang fake news. Bawal mali-mali. Tonto ako sa fake news, hindi nila makuha yung tamang sagot.
Team Papa Win! Hip Hop Queen! Ang gusto ko yung PN's the key.
Kasi nakaka-relate din ako dyan. Yung misis ko madalas umorder eh.
Ang red ba? Ang confirmed or cancel?
Gusto rin namin magbigay ng pag-asa sa ating kapwa, lalo na sa panahon ngayon. Ang gusto ko dyan, ayudawan, nakatulong na, nakakatawa pa. Driver Grab, nag-deliver, driver Grab.
Ang gusto ko po dyan yung ayudawan kasi marami pong natutulungan na tao.
Salamat po. Maraming salamat po. Unang-una po sa ama.
Maraming salamat po. Ikwento ko po ito sa aking mga anak.
Gusto ko sa happy time, maalis tayo. Tuwang-tawa kay KitKat.
Iyan o. Iyan o.
Kumanta, sumaya tayong lahat. Saya-saya.
Sino ba ang pupuno ng third and final spot sa ating second monthly finals? Abangan natin sa Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 Dance Edition!
For tonight's business segment, Bobby Soriano has 3 stories for us. OxyContin maker Purdue pleads guilty to federal charges related to marketing and distribution of the drug. Due to the pandemic, Amazon extends its work-from-home option until the middle of next year. And Tesla beats today's earnings expectations. Bobby?
Good evening. U.S. markets have closed. Here are the latest business headlines. Purdue Pharma pleaded guilty today to charges related to the marketing and distribution of the painkiller known as OxyContin. The company will be required to pay over $8 billion in settlements related to the drug, which the company has been accused of distributing despite knowingly causing widespread opiate addiction and death. The full amount may never reach claimants, however, as the company filed for bankruptcy last year and is still in the process of being restructured. Members of the Sackler family, owners of Purdue Pharma, have also settled civil charges in their role in the marketing and distribution of Oxy and will be expected to pay $225 million as part of a separate settlement package. Amazon has announced that it will be extending the option of remote working from home for employees until at least the middle of 2021, joining other tech companies like Google and Facebook who have made similar announcements. The company, which has over 900,000 employees globally, mentioned in a blog post that, quote, "The health and safety of our employees is our top priority, and it will be some time before things return to normal. Accordingly, work that can be effectively be done from home can continue to be done from home through June 30, 2021. Amazon has had to rework its image after accusations by employees that the company was not doing enough to protect them, with frontline workers accusing the company of not providing sufficient PPE at the beginning of the pandemic and being reluctant in sharing information about colleagues who have been infected. Looking at today's big earnings announcements, Tesla topped expectations, easily beating revenue estimates for the quarter ending in September. The company also affirmed its promise to deliver 500,000 vehicles by the end of 2020, despite the fact that the company has only delivered 320,000 vehicles so far this year. Verizon also achieved better than expected results for its third quarter, with the telecom sector largely untouched by the pandemic as customers continue to use their services to remain connected to work or school from home. Lastly, on the food front, Chipotle announced mixed results, beating revenue expectations but seeing a drop in profit margins as stores have seen less customers walk in during the pandemic and costs have increased to provide protection and safety to their workers. U.S. indices closed in the red today as investors continued a wait-and-see approach regarding stimulus talks. Reporting from New York, Bobby Soriano, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Bobby. For tonight's virtual roundtable discussion, let's find out from our Eagle News team what flavor of ice cream they wish existed and why. I'm excited about this, kinda. Let's start with Tom. Okay, so if you can create one ice cream flavor, what is it and why?
Something with a coffee flavor, but I really don't know what. There's so much out there. But I will tell you one thing that I love is homemade ice cream, any flavor. There's something about homemade versus store-bought. Just love it. Just love it.
Hands down, that's true. Nothing beats homemade ice cream. Myla, what do you think?
I'm missing avocado ice cream.
Ooh,
There's one here in the U.S., but I've tasted it in other places. But yeah, avocado ice cream, and my kids love cheese ice cream. So those are the 2 ice cream.
Just recently, I bought a tub of ice cream. It's flavored mais con hielo. I didn't like it. But let's hear, Tess. What flavor and why?
I just mentioned it earlier. I'm really just a chocolate girl, so I don't know what to say about this. Anything chocolate, give it to me, except with mint. I don't like chocolate with mint.
Double chocolate, triple chocolate.
Pile it on.
All right. How about you, man? Let me know, what flavor ice cream do you want?
Well, Ace, it's funny because you mentioned you didn't like the mais con hielo ice cream that you just bought, but I wish there was a sweet corn flavored ice cream, especially here in South New Jersey, because we're actually known for sweet corn, and I imagine it would be such a sensation and will bring visitors from all over the state just to try it. Ace?
I think that would be great. Sweet corn, a lot better than the mais con hielo that I had, probably. Randy, what flavor?
Ferrero Rocher ice cream. I love the chocolate, and I'd love to have it in the ice cream flavor.
Can you spell that?
Oh, I can't. I can. Yeah, it's like F.
That sounds good.
No, it sounds good, but it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, it sounds fancy though. Rocher, you know.
Okay, Rocher. Oh,
You know, that's a chocolate I will eat.
There we
Bring it
go.
on.
You'd buy in.
does it have a tinge of chocolate, or is it on the fruity side?
Oh no, it's chocolate.
Chocolate.
It's a wafer, and then inside there is a hazelnut. So you can probably put an ice cream inside a wafer.
Oh, now my mouth is watering. I'm thinking about mochi toppings as well. You know.
Oh yeah, the mochi would be.
Okay, you lost me there. Just chocolate.
Okay. Chocolate. All right. And mango from that popular brand in Manila. Well, anyway, thank you so much for sharing your favorite ice cream flavors or your wish ice cream flavors. We continue to thank our healthcare workers, first responders, and essential workers with a round of applause. We do appreciate you. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ace Ramirez. We live in interesting times.